Hello, Storygoers, and welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Cartridge, the video game storytelling podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Eric.
And I'm your co-host, Ryan.
Ryan, I'm thankful for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I just thought, you're a great guy. I appreciate your friendship. I'm very thankful for it. I'm thankful we have this podcast together. Yeah. A lot of things to be thankful for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to think of those things around this time of year.
Exactly. I think it's a great time to pivot away from history and really try to redefine what it means to be thankful in November, especially for us good old US of A's. We're
kind of,
bad history with that. Bad history. But
absolutely.
I think we here at Tales, is it fair to say, Ryan? I think we here at Tales are trying to pave the way for a brand new realization of what it means to be thankful.
Absolutely.
And what better way than to use video games as that medium? But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. I'm jumping ahead. Ryan, how are you? And what have you been playing?
I am doing pretty well. It is that time of year where clocks change and everything's a mess.
Yup.
So I'm just adjusting to that, and with a dog who doesn't understand that clocks change. So we're working through that, and we're doing okay. But I'm a little bit tired. But overall, I'm doing pretty well. Things are starting to chill out in my life, my work life.
Good.
So it's nice to kind of, hang out and play some chill games, settling into the nice, cozy fall, winter game time. And what I've been playing, new factory update came out, so I've been playing a bit of that. Just started, this weekend. And then I've been playing Satisfactory for a little while. Very similar game experiences. And then I've been dipping back into Baldur's Gate 3 because I've never actually finished that game, and my partner and I started a save ages ago, and we're just about to the end of Act 2.
Wow, you guys
of
did
3
it.
acts. Yeah.
You guys did it past Act 1.
It's wild how big those acts are and how each act feel like it could be its own game because of how much you cover and how much everything wraps up at the end in a really satisfying way.
That's very cool. Good job. Kudos to you.
Thanks. Eric, how are you? What have you been playing?
I'm doing okay. It is a stressful time for many, many reasons. My dog's been fighting another cold or something going on, so that's been a little stressful. And of course, here again in the good old US of A, it's been very, very stressful for many reasons, and having to talk to a lot of people who are very, very stressed and trying to help them cope with things that, what can we control, what can't we control, and what should we be focusing on right now, and how can we help ourselves? And it's a lot going on that's kind of typically pretty easy to compartmentalize, but when other people are feeling it and I myself are feeling it, it's hard to differentiate all those feelings. You know what I mean? It's a lot. So I'm a little anxious for this week, but I'm trying really hard to focus on what control I do have, which is playing games. I've been playing a pretty good spread of games. I played a lot of Hades 2. I cleared the sections that are available, which is really cool. I love the new boss. The design of this individual, I don't want to spoil too much, but the design, the art style, the art style is just so good. I just really love Hades' look. It just always grips me and pulls me in. It's it's just so good. I've also been playing Supermarket Simulator, and it's been a good time. It definitely feels like a time waster, if I'm being real with you. It's fun because my store is very basic. It's very whatever. I'm trying to be a little annoying and only do vegan stuff for my own stuff, which is fun, which the game does not like at all. The game is very upset that every customer complains about not having eggs or milk, which is fine. And I actually lose I lose a point every time I don't have something that they want. So my growth is definitely not as fast as the game thinks it should be, or the game feels like it should be. But it's fine. It's fun. I'm having a good time. It's a good time. I love just designing your own little supermarket is it's really fun, and I'm really curious to see how far it goes. Though it is stressful. When you see you have 2 things on the shelf left, you're you have to quickly order it and run outside and grab the box and put it inside. Yeah. It's very stressful. And then I don't know why. I think I saw a image of a concept art for the sequel of this game, but I have been really wanting to play Dishonored one again. And I think after hearing about the super super unfortunate and my biased take of I think very bad decision of closing Arcane Austin recently that Microsoft made. Um, I just wanted to get back into Dishonored again because Dishonored is one of my favorite series. I'd say it's probably in the top 5 of my games of all time. I just love Dishonored's world, and I love the gameplay. I love that you can go the whole game and not kill anyone, or you can just kill anyone, like everyone. Like it's just such a crazy game. It's so 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 good and so unique. I think it's a horrible horrible shame of. I mean, I think any developer getting closed down is awful, but I think Arcane Austin getting closed is just literally. It kind of blows my mind. It kind of blows my mind that was Redfall good? No. And granted, I didn't play it, but that's the general consensus, so I'm going to hear that and go with it. But, like, they did such a good job with Prey, and I think they did Deadloop, I think. Yeah, and I think both those games were absolutely fantastic. I think Leon did Dishonored 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure. Arcane Leon. But either way, I think that it's such talented people, and they made such great new IPs that for them to just get closed down after one bad game is really, really something to me. I feel like, and of course I'm over here, not in that world at all of game development, so I could be totally wrong. And please let me know if I am. If any Storygoers are developers and they do have this perspective, but it really seems like from the outside looking in that if a developer does one bad game, they are at jeopardy to lose everything. Like what happened with Concord. That developer worked on it for what 6 to 8 years, something like that, and then
long time. Yeah,
they just got closed down. And after years of work, and what looked like was it a popular game? No, because there's so many hero shooters now, and you know after 6 years of work, you're not gonna just scrap it and move on. I'm sure they wanted to really try and see what happened. But man, it is really now more than ever feels that publishers do not care about creativity and what could come from developers learning from their experiences and moving on to make better things. It's close them down. They didn't make a profit. Move on to something else. And I can't imagine trying to be creative and be different in a world that will ostracize or not ostracize, but just cripple you in what could be a game that doesn't work out. I hope that makes sense. But like, yeah, very frustrating to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with game development right now, and part of it is how long it takes to make a game right now, and that like you see with like Velgard that just came out, like that game was made to look like Fallen Order, right? Because that was the biggest game, but that's like 6 years ago, and so much happened since then that like it's really hard for a development team to like continue to be if you're trying to chase a current trend, you're just always going to miss because you're going to be behind. But it's really hard. And because, you know, a lot of these companies are owned by a larger company who is just looking to make as much money as possible. Yep. Or you have like that Xbox studio who made a really, really great game, but it didn't sell well, but it was also on Game Pass and they still got shut down. Like there's just a bunch of weird... DreamWorks? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like folks not really set up for a ton of success. And then like when companies are looking to show profit, then that's a way to show profit is to cut a company to then make more profit. It's
almost like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And it's my heart goes out to these people who are just trying to make things they love, you know.
Yeah.
But it's their livelihood. It's one thing if it's like you and me trying to do Stew Tales for fun and we're not really making anything, but it's fun because our livelihoods aren't on the line right now, right?
Yeah.
From it.
Yeah.
But these people who, and great, I'm not trying to say this is the same thing as game development. By no means am I saying that's the same, but you know, for these people who go to work every day and put in copious amounts of hours to make something hopefully that's memorable in the same way that they played a game when they were younger and it was memorable to them. You know, it's really gross. It's really absolutely disgusting. And I get it. Profits are important. I know they're part of the equation and it's really important for that to work. But like you're saying, Ryan, too, especially with, what is that game? Everyone loves it and I never played it.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush. Thank you. Yep. Hi-Fi Rush. It won awards. Like it did it has such great praise, and to see them still lose their studio is crazy. I mean, it got bought by a different publisher. I think it was saved, but still, like, that just feels like you still did a good job, and you still get sent away. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. I'd be really curious to look at like our if we looked back at all the games we've played this past year, how many of those games are made by or owned by one of those bigger like Sony or Xbox, and how many of those are like, looking at the 3 games on my list, all of them are smaller studios. Looking at your list, 2 of 3 are smaller studios, and when Dishonored came out, it was a small studio, right? Like, small studio, yeah. So where you're seeing these larger studios having to spend a lot of time and energy to make a game that is good, but they are now competing with an increasingly growing market of really good smaller developers who can do a lot with smaller teams. And I'm really curious to see if there's over time, if because just the scale of games, if you're trying to make the biggest AAA game, it's just so expensive. And like a game like Baldur's Gate, half of that game you'll never see. Most players will never see half of that game because it's all based on choices you made. And that's just not a decision that folks will, like, that's not a decision like with, again, Veilguard, a game that just came out. There's no situation where you'll miss a bunch of content in that game because it's really hard for a company to justify, why are we going to spend, 3 months working on something no one will see? That's a really hard thing to justify unless you don't care. And that's just not a decision that smaller or bigger studios are willing to make.
Right. I mean, go back really fast too, is I don't want someone to come at us. I think Dishonored was still a part of Bethesda at the time before Bethesda was bought. So, and I guess Bethesda technically is a little bit bigger, but regardless, it wasn't Microsoft big. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, nothing was Microsoft big. Microsoft is the biggest there ever has been, or was.
Right. It's really cool to see, like you're saying, Ryan, to see the impact of smaller studios who make really cool games like Hades 2, right? And though, like, would I love Hades 2 to be done and out right now? 100%. But I can be patient and take I can take updates. I almost said small updates. It was definitely not a small update last time. But I can take updates throughout time as it leads up to the game's release and be happy with that. If that makes the team happier, it makes everybody else happy. Like, and that feels right. Or even like Supermarket Simulator is a game that, like, by no means is game of the year. But, like, I can't imagine a team of more than like 10 worked on this game. Maybe I'm wrong. And I don't mean that as an insult, but I hope that it was a small team because it shows how impactful these experiences can be from just a small team of people who make them and put their heart into it. It's so cool to see that. I just played, actually I forgot a game on my list. I played a game called Fears to Fathom with my wife. So we can, like, try PC gaming together. And I can't imagine it's more than like 3 people working on this game. But it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Again, it would never be game of the year for me, but I don't say that as an insult. I say more as, like, I really enjoyed this experience that someone made, likely by themselves. But it was a really good time. It was really, really fun. Like, arguably more fun than I had with, like, I'm stuck in Black Myth Wukong, and I honestly don't know if I'll pick it back up again because I just can't get out of an area and I'm, like, so bored of it. Yeah. But Fears to Fathom was 20 minutes long and I had a fantastic time with it. So, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. And I do think that the Baldur's Gate 3 director recently came out. Maybe I'm mixing this up with somebody else. Someone came out recently condemning the closure of developers recently. And I think it was Baldur's Gate 3 director.
Yeah, the guy in charge of it, the CEO, he oftentimes will come out and, say he's had a lot to say when Wizards of the Coast closed some stuff in the D&D world. He's kind of had some stuff to say about developers closing, I'm sure. Yeah, they're very lucky that they're a company who is not publicly traded or publicly owned, and they make games that make enough money that they don't really have to answer to anybody. They can waste, not waste, like, they can spend 8 years making Baldur's Gate, right? And it comes out and people really like it. But it took them a long time. It was in early access for ages, and it has a lot of stuff that you will never see unless you play 3 or 4 times, which is wild.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
Not thankful for all those bad things, but Ryan,
Yeah.
I am thankful for our last episode of Silent Hill Part 1. Silent Hill 2
Yes.
Part 1, sorry.
Yes.
And then we'll get more of that out in the near future. As always, Storygoers, you can send us your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives from tales to the cartridge at gmail.com. All the E's are threes. Find us on our social media by leaving a voicemail or a text at 207-494-4334 or answer our Spotify poll question down below. We would love to see what you think and what your thoughts are on these episode topics. We don't have any answers or responses, I don't think. Oh, no, we had one. Let me find my phone. I took a screenshot, I think. Sorry. Whoever's editing this, please cut this out.
Okay, we'll do.
That's right. We have one response to read from our Bedtime Stories Super Mario 64, the full run of it, which one day I'll add more to. I do want to add more and add one level of all the world in that game into the story, but one day. We had a writer write in by the name of School who just wrote cool and then parentheses, please reply. So then we had to reply. So I just replied,
they
super cool. Yeah, it's super cool. So hopefully they liked it. But yeah, other than that, that's all we had so far. So, and of course, we're on Patreon if you want to come to Patreon. But I feel like everybody has a Patreon now. So, yeah, it seems hard to kind of push that out. But we'd love to do this for full time, so that'd be cool.
Yeah,
maybe one day.
Sure.
Talk about this not being our livelihood, but low key, I'd love to do this as a livelihood.
Could be. Yeah.
Especially right now with all the craziness happening in the world, I would love to just write stories all the time. Oh. But Ryan, we had a really cool idea today for our DLC episode.
Yeah, this is a very fun idea.
Would you like to intro what we're doing today?
I would love to. I'm going to do my best to intro, and then if I get anything incorrect, or if there's anything that doesn't seem right, Eric, feel free to jump in, because
you always say that.
You and your partner's brainchild with this beautiful idea. So, hers, your wife's idea.
Yeah.
So the plan was we were trying to think. This is our fourth Thanksgiving episode, our third Thanksgiving episode.
Fourth. Yeah, it's our fourth.
And what are we gonna do? What are we gonna be thankful for? We had some ideas, but we've done almost everything there is to do. So the idea we are the incredible idea that Eric's wife had is, let's create our perfect Thanksgiving with video game characters and settings and foods, and what would this look like and what would it be? So each of us selected a couple characters, a setting where this delicious Thanksgiving will take place, a chef who does the cooking, and then what foods will be served at their perfect video game Thanksgiving. This is kind of like a conglomeration of like some other episodes we've done in the past about your favorite foods or what video game you're thankful for. So this is a really fun way to kind of bring it all together to create our perfect little Thanksgiving. And how important this year of all years to make sure you can, decide who gets to be at your Thanksgiving and what conversations and situations you get to be in. Exactly. So this is a nice little a chance for us to dive in. So what a fun idea, Eric. What did I miss? What more do you want to add?
Great. That was great. No, yeah, 3 characters each, a cool setting. Who's the chef, and maybe what are some ideas for food and drink? I think it's such a cool idea. Like, yeah, my wife did think of this, and it was such a cool idea because it's just like there's no wrong answers. It's just what is the vibe for your perfect Thanksgiving meal. Thanksgiving built on not colonization and decimating horrible, just doing horrible decimating things to peoples that don't deserve it, but just on the fact that you appreciate each other and you come together to share some food and tell cool stories.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool. So, but I don't know, Ryan, how do you feel about, I guess we should.
Yeah, great question.
I don't think we should take turns necessarily going through I think we should just display our whole thing so it's not confusing.
I think this is like a curated experience, and I think it's important to have the full scope and to fully understand what the full picture is, because I have a feeling, Eric, and I'd be curious to see what your think is. If we were to do this again, it would probably be different based on where I am, what I'm thinking about, what I want out of the experience. I think like this specific selection I have is really based on like how I'm feeling in this moment and what I want that experience to be. So I think all that to say, I think it's important to say it all in one to really like paint the picture of like, here's what this would look like. Here's what I want that experience to be.
I think that's great. And I think next year I already have the plan for next year, Ryan. I think this is our like perfect Thanksgiving scenario. Then next year will be like the realistic Thanksgiving. Like who's the annoying uncle? Who's the obnoxious like cousin? Who is the grumpy grandpa? You know what I mean? Like those things. Like I think we have those stereotypes of Thanksgiving in like who's sleeping on the couch the whole night. Like for me, my uncle would be probably Wario. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I think going through this perfect scenario of like just going through our own stuff first to really paint the picture of who's gonna be there, what's it look like, all the things. So and kind of our reasonings as for why this feels right to us.
Yeah.
Ryan, I feel like I always make you go first, and I think maybe letting you end it with your beautiful scenario might be more
that sounds great.
I always feel like I take the ending, and I don't like that. I want to show my thankfulness, and I want to end on a good note. I want to end on your perfect Thanksgiving, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Okay? That sounds great. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's not something I've noticed, but I appreciate your attempt for equity.
I notice these things way too much, more than people ever probably realize, and then they think I'm weird when I bring it up. So
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Okay, so all right. So picture this. So Storygoers, here's my perfect Thanksgiving with the theme of video games. Right. So picture this. All right, here we go. The setting is outside of Princess Peach's castle in Super Mario 64. It's beautiful. It's sunny. The birds are chirping, right? It's just perfect weather. You hear the kind of subtle water noises down the moat around the castle, as well as by the pond. On picture on the table is kind of right outside of the walkway to the doors of the castle, like where the ground is still, not the stone bridge that leads to the doors. Like we're kind of outside the castle, clear view of this beautiful castle, right? Like yes, is the stained glass? What am I thinking of? That Princess Peach is it stained glass or what's that glass pieces? Yeah, okay.
Stained glass is yeah. Stained right? glass is like the picture is made out of colored glass that is in a window. Yeah, that's stained glass. Yeah,
stained glass. Okay, I thought there was a different name for it. I mean, it's a little pretentious that Peach has her own stained glass picture of herself in her castle. I guess so. But who? I mean, honestly, I would do. All right. So there it is. Like the table's out there. It's gonna be there right outside the castle on this beautiful day outside of Princess Peach's castle in Super Mario 64. But who's coming? You're wondering. I really thought hard again with the help of my wife. I almost said my ball and chain. My rock. That's not what I was going for. I meant to be really earnest and really positive there. That was not what I meant to say. Freudian slip. But I want to pick three characters who had really nothing in common with each other, but had the ability to conversate. I don't want any awkward silence. I want people who can talk to each other and bring cool stories and be able to have cool conversations. So here's my three people. First, Samus Aran, the bounty hunter, right? Her stories in space are second to none. You know what I mean? It was actually between, I'll say it at the end. Who is between for her and someone else. I think she could have such cool stories about, hunting space pirates and getting into cool missions and what she has gone through that's been a struggle for her. Next, Todd for Pokemon Snap. Hear me out, right?
No idea who it is. I'm excited to hear more.
You don't know Todd from Pokemon Snap?
No, I don't.
You grew up in the 90s. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I played Pokemon Snap a full 30 years ago. That's not true. Probably 20 something years ago. I don't remember anything from it.
Todd is the guy that takes the pictures.
Oh, okay. You play Todd
too. He's a nice guy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Sorry, I feel a little defensive right now. This is my perfect Thanksgiving, Ryan.
That's okay. No, I'm not.
I was going to invite you, but maybe I should reconsider.
I'm not questioning. I just didn't know who Todd was.
Todd, he's a nice guy, nice kid. He helps Professor Oak. He travels around the world of Pokemon, Kanto region, best region, and takes, because I'm old, that's the one I grew up with, but takes pictures of really cool Pokemon doing really cool things. And I think I can picture Todd bringing out his photography book and his photo album and just showing us all these cool pictures and talking about all the trips he took and what he saw. Again, so not in the same scope of Samus, who Did you say Samus? Samus. Is that what it is? I always think of
Whatever feels right in your heart, I think is correct.
English is a bad language. I think it's Samus. So I think I grew up saying Samus, and then Super Smash Bros. Came out. I was like, Samus. Yeah, Samus. I'm going to say Samus. Todd and Samus have nothing in common. So their stories won't overdo one another because they're so different, and then everyone's going to be interested in that conversation. So then my third character, who else could we bring here? I'm going, again, Super Smash Brothers rules here. Banjo and Kazooie. That's one character. I know they're not. I know they're two people. Come for me. But if Super Smash Brothers tell me that's one character, I'm going for it. I'm going to go for it. Well, all right, you know what? Actually, maybe that's wrong. Because Nana and Lulu, what are the ice climbers? They're clearly two different people.
They are clearly two different people. It's fine.
I'm going Banjo and Kazooie. I don't care. You can come for me if you want to. They're a package deal. Okay? Mm-hmm. They are individuals, but they are a package deal. If Ryan came at me with Ratchet and Clank or something, or Jack and Dexter, I would support him. So here we are. That's all I'm saying. Banjo and Kazooie. Because again, it's not like the Mario effect of like he gets to go all these different worlds. It's a whole different perspective from a bear and a bird who go to really weird places, right? And throughout Grundy's or Gruntilda's castle. And I think they can have really cool stories that have nothing to do with or are not in common at all with Todd or Samus. I think it'd be such a cool talk about and listening to all these cool stories and asking questions and being curious. So fun. So the conversation is set. Easy. Samus, Todd from Pokemon Snap, Banjo-Kazooie. And me, obviously. Sitting there having great conversations. I'm just picturing adding nothing of relevancy to these amazing stories that they're telling. And they look to me and they go, what do you have, Eric? And I go, I got nothing. I can't break hip. I can't tell you anything. I don't know what to tell you. I'll just tell more stories. I don't care. All right. So you're probably wondering though, Storygoers, who is going to cook this food? Who has the skills? Who has the abilities to make amazing foods? And you're probably thinking Cooking Mama. You're probably thinking, I don't know, other chef people. I don't know. I almost went with overcooked characters, but I was like, no, that's not good enough. The one chef who can make so many things by just throwing them into one pot and waiting. That's it. And like 3 seconds after a cool little jingle has an amazing piece of food. Who other than Link from Tears of the Kingdom? That dude can make so much food out of just simple ingredients. Beautiful pieces of food, right? And it's all the way from like people like myself who are vegan. I wrote down some things I would love to eat. Those fried wild greens, that curry rice, the vegetable curry specifically, the veggie rice balls, like, and then of course there's like meat stuff too if you want to go down that road, whatever, who cares. So everybody is covered. There's so much, and Link just needs the ingredients, throws them in a pot, stands over it. Dude looks like he can't cook for nothing, but he makes amazing food. It'd be so fast, so easy for him, and it fills up your hearts. We all know this. Hearts are filled. And what more do you want for Thanksgiving than your hearts to be filled? He can also be our little bartender boy. He can also make the Noble Pursuit drink from Tears of the Kingdom. Gerudo Gerudo drink that is looks really, really nice. But of course, I want to end on a good note. I think I'm sorry, my dog had to come in and say hi. Ending on a good note for this Thanksgiving is none other than Princess Peach's cake from Super Mario 64. That beautiful one at the end of the game. I mean, you put Mario on it if you want to, whatever. He's not invited, so it's kind of awkward, but it's okay. I'll pick him off and throw him into the water. Who cares? That'd be an amazing cake to eat, as well as the blue potion from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, specifically, because I always wanted to drink it. I always thought it looked really good. And it not only boosts your hearts all the way to max, but it gives you infinite magic, so you'd be leaving like refreshed. I think it would help with digestion for some reason. In my mind, that's that's canon. Yeah. You're breaking down all those veggies, the fibrous stuff. Really helps kind of get things going. That blue potion. It's like a end of meal palate cleanser kind of thing. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
And everyone's just having a great time. I think it'd be so good. I think the conversations are solid. The location is beautiful. The chef is cool. Doesn't talk at all. Pretty rad. Makes amazing food. And then ending off with some sweet treats. What better way to end off a Thanksgiving than a literal princess baking a cake, coming out, putting it on the table, then walking back into her own castle as we continue our feast. I would invite her. I'd invite LinkedIn too, if I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my
Wow.
perfect Thanksgiving.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Ryan, do you have any thoughts, any critiques, any...
Of course not.
Okay. Or anything... I'd invite you too, Ryan, of course.
Thank you. Of course,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I think this is very fun. I love the vibes of it. I would love to hear the conversation between these three folks because, as you said, they feel like they live very different lives. And I'm sure they'd have some really interesting conversations about those lives.
I was really stuck... Thank you. First off, thank you, Ryan. That was very, very kind of you. I should acknowledge that first. I was very conflicted. At first, I thought Star Fox, Fox McCloud himself, would be perfect. But then I thought, well, Samus is really cool too. But my fear was that they would have invited both Samus and Fox, that they would just talk about outer space stuff for like hours, and then Todd and I are looking at each other like, "What's going on?" This is like, we feel like the odd man out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I couldn't invite both of them. So Fox had to go. Right? Sorry, Fox. It just wasn't gonna work. And then I was also thinking Mario, because of course Mario goes to all these different worlds. I was like, but we're also at Princess Peach's castle. She might be baking a cake later. I feel like there's a little too much Mario going on in this theme. And then I thought Banjo-Kazooie fit, because that's that extra little person that gets invited to this thing, so it kind of breaks the rules a little bit. And then they also have Fantastical Worlds, and Banjo-Kazooie are fun. They're fun, like they're almost like a comedic relief, so which would be perfect. So I, the one day, when I'm in that hospital bed and death looms over me, I really hope he just takes me to this Thanksgiving dinner. I think I'd be very, very happy if that happened.
Get some cool holo goggles on in like the year 2088.
Oh, I'm talking about just getting like, my soul gets taken.
Oh,
and
got it.
That too. I could also do that too. That seems a little bit sadder, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my perfect Thanksgiving.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
But Ryan, I'm so curious to know more about yours.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe, I would say. I think our goals are the same. Like, my intention was to create a space where you could hear interesting stories and bring interesting people together. And so that was kind of my goal, is to bring these people together who've lived interesting lives. Location-wise, very different vibe than the beautiful sunny castle. I want, like, the Roost from Animal Crossing with just like KK Slider playing some chill vibes up on the stage. It's like raining or snowing outside, so you just have like this nice ambiance. It's kind of dark and quiet and calm, which is like my preferred space to hang out in those types of spaces. So, we're sitting around the table. It's kind of darker. It's like the lighting is warm. And then sitting around, we have three very different characters who live very weird and different lives. Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. Just a very, a really interesting character, and a character who I really love to get to experience part of their life in a way that they are so complex and interesting. And all of these characters, which I didn't realize until after, have done a lot of pretty bad stuff, but then have at some point in their lives changed and gone through something that forced them, either by choice or by circumstance, to move through the world in a different way. And that's really interesting to me. I'd really like to connect and talk through somebody who's experienced that and just hear how they talk about the world and their lives and the people around them. So Arthur Morgan, a pretty gruff dude, but is very polite, especially in social situations, and understands doesn't know how which fork to use, but is still going to be polite and kind to you as you're sitting and talking with them.
Yeah.
So Arthur Morgan is number one. Karlach from Baldur's Gate 3 is just the sweetest, most charming. Eric, I know you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3
actively right now.
They don't look like a sweet, charming person, but they're the kindest, sweetest, charming character in that game. The most wholesome character in that entire game is Karlach, even though they are a murderous barbarian from hell. They're so sweet and just very charming and wholesome character who's really just kind of the cheerleader for the party, who's there to tell interesting stories and has done some wild stuff, but is a really great conversationalist and just a pretty cool person. And then last, Sully from Uncharted, because again, this person who's lived this like wild storied life and like maybe isn't gonna know which fork to use and maybe it'll get a bit raucous, but that is like kind of also, I'm used to raucous Thanksgiving where people are yelling and raising their voice. Like that's not something that I am not used to, and in like I feel comfortable in those spaces. And I think this would just be kind of a raucous party with these three like all varying levels of alcoholic, all varying levels of renegade and rogue, just kind of telling stories, getting raucous, dancing on tables, losing their mind, and just like having, and then eventually having like these really deep, meaningful conversations about life because they've all lived like these really complex and weird and wild lives. All while we're sitting and talking, in the back, you hear the clink and the clank and meows of the Mousecular Chef and Grandmaster Chef from Monster Hunter World, just going wild and bringing out these massive trays overflowing with whatever food they decide, like pure omakase, chef special style, whatever they want to serve, that's what we're eating. Just the table is covered with trays and trays of overwhelming food of shapes and size, and in whatever flavors they decide are in season or seem best. I am excited to try and enjoy. So yeah, just lots of food, raucous folks in a very chill and calm space. I can't imagine that the proprietor of the Roost would be super cool this being there, but I do think it would be a nice place to have a wild time.
I just picture Sully going, "Why is there an owl in the back serving us coffee?"
Yeah,
or hitting on Karlak.
Absolutely, for sure.
100%.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And these are all characters, again, at the time, I didn't think of it, of who are characters who, like, are kind of, like, they've done shady stuff, and they're kind of bad people, but are on the other side of it, or are complex enough that, like, they've done bad things and do bad things, but are still can be good people. And tell interesting stories. And like Sully's been all over the world. Arthur Morgan was alive in the West in the 1800s. And Karlak is from a fantasy world and also spent time serving the armies of hell. So there's all kinds of wild stories that you could tell. And I also feel like these three individuals have some overlap of experiences in a way that like they're not the same but can relate to each other in some way. They all come from a world that like wasn't necessarily designed for them, and they weren't successful in, and they had to find alternative ways to be successful in that world in a way that I think is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair too, is there really such a thing as a good person?
So true.
You know what I mean?
True.
They're all different levels of, I mean, maybe Todd from Pokemon Snap because he doesn't kill anything, but everyone else is taking lives. You know what I mean?
All three of these individuals have taken lives. Absolutely. Yeah.
I would say, like, I was thinking also in that same regard of like with the conversation aspect of it, and I thought Nathan Drake immediately, but I was like, I want someone who's like a literal mass murderer at the dinner table. He had great stories though. He's like a backup for me if I didn't think of anything else.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
But that's a great list. Now, Ryan, I have a question. This is not me calling you out. I just really want your
I'd be so happy to hear.
I just want your general insight because, like, I know you're pretty allergic to cats. So is the cat chef aspect going to be a difficult thing? Is the dander going to be an aspect of this?
It's probably going to be a problem. I probably will need to take some Benadryl beforehand. Absolutely. There is no doubt that hair and dander wouldn't get into the food. They have hair on their hands and paws. And I don't think they wear gloves or hair nets.
They should.
They should, absolutely. And depending on, the kitchen situation and the food service laws of the Animal Crossing world, they might have to. But man, if you look at their spreads that they put out in the game, it's beautiful stuff.
Is that what they call it, Monster Hunter Wilds? Because it's wild that the cats don't wear gloves and hairnets?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to do with the hunting aspect of it?
No, it's fully that the cats don't wear gloves. Yeah. What's more wild than lack of hairnets and gloves in a food service situation?
I mean, I can't think of anything. Beats me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think that sounds fantastic. I'd love to come to your Thanksgiving, not to invite myself.
Of course you're okay. Without a doubt you were invited. Okay. I think like might even be needed to help like keep everybody on the food level. Yeah. Okay.
I just want to hang on the back of the cats.
Yeah,
Making
exactly.
food.
Just
taking
make some food with
notes.
the cats. Yeah.
Just being like, what is happening? How are these cats doing this? Like, Link, you gotta cook for me later. Watch these guys. See how they're doing it. But no, I think that sounds like a fantastic Thanksgiving though. That sounds so good. I love the roost idea. I think the roost on a rainy day is such a good vibe.
Yeah,
such a good
absolutely.
vibe. I love that idea. I was thinking about it too. I think there's not really many places in the Animal Crossing world that I wouldn't want to eat Thanksgiving at.
Yeah, it's all pretty.
Yeah, maybe Reds would be the one place I don't want to eat it, but even the airport's nice. You know what I mean? I'd eat it there. Who cares? Yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool. Honestly, though, also let's be real too. This would be a horrible move on my part to put this on to Link, who has to also deliver the food. Because everyone knows the chef also delivers the food.
Yes, of course.
But also, I was thinking in a different location for mine, and I thought, what about the Babam world, the King Babam world, or Babam Battlefield in Super Mario 64, the very first world, at the very top of the mountain. We just go up there with our tables and our stuff, and King Babam's like, "What's going on?" We pick him up, we chuck him off the. we just get rid of him. And even though he can jump back up, but who cares? And then we set up there, but then of course Link has to run all the way up the mountain to deliver the food.
Yeah, we could build a machine. He could build a machine to do it.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah,
oh my God,
so a little delivery robot
Link,
guy. That
you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you could too.
He could cook on like a floating, because you can put cooking pots. He could cook on like just a floating kitchen off to the side.
Oh, I love that idea. I love that. We can have just a little escalator. He just puts the food on, he hits it, and it just raises up.
Yeah,
all the
for
way
sure.
Up. Yeah. So many good ideas. Storygoers, let us know what you think about our perfect Thanksgivings. Did we get it right?
Yeah.
How would you do it? What 3 characters would you want at yours? What's the setting? Who's the chef? And what's the food and drink? I really, we say this every single time, but now more than ever, I really want to hear people's thoughts on this. I really, truly do, right? We can't update the comments anymore to reflect the questions, but if you listen to this episode, please either write in to us at talesfromthecartridge@gmail.com. All the E's are 3s. Find us on our social media. Email or leave us a voicemail or a text at 207-494-4334, or answer on the comments section on Spotify and let us know what you think. What is your perfect video game Thanksgiving look like? I'm very curious what some people would pick. I think Sonic will show up on somebody's.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
If anything, I think Sonic would be a very helpful character because he can just bring the food up so fast, which is very kind of him. I think he'd do that. Maybe Shadow would be someone's. He'd be kind of cool too. The edgy cousin sort of
for sure.
vibe. Yeah. I really like. I would love to know people's thoughts on because for us, you without even talking about it, Ryan, our main priority is conversation, making sure that the conversation can flow. In a really good way. I'm very curious if, for people, they don't really care what characters they have as their favorite characters. It's not about conversation, and they're more prioritized on the food. Who's making the food? You know what I mean? Or what's the setting? And the setting's the most important part. I really would love to see what people think about that. So please, let us know. Please, I'm begging you. Or I won't invite you to my Thanksgiving. I will if you do. Yeah. If you write in, you're invited to Princess Peach's Thanksgiving Castle dinner.
Wow. Yeah. What an invite. Yeah.
No Princess Peach, though. She's not going to be there. She's making the cake and then she's going back inside.
Yeah. She's got a castle. It'll be fine.
She's got a castle. She's good. She's got servants. I guess I should invite her though, because all the little toads can just scurry out with the food.
That's true. Okay. They can help deliver. They can help be a part of it. Although I would say, oftentimes, and you would know this better than I would because you've rented spaces for events more than I would. When you rent a space, in some situations, they'll come with some caterer support, or they'll come with people who are help. So I'm wondering if with the castle, it would come with that support, or if Link would Link's catering company would provide that support.
You know what? I don't think Link is more of a loner. I don't think he would have a catering company. I think I'd have to, honestly, to make this work, I would probably have to kick out someone from my 3 characters. I think I'd have to invite Peach, and with Peach comes the Toads. I think it's the only way to make this work. It's either Todd or Banjo and Kazooie.
I think alternatively, Eric, you could just get a fourth chair or a fifth chair.
Right, that's not. We gotta follow the rules.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll update you guys next time, or I'll totally forget about it.
I wonder if you could just like move where it's happening to like in her living room, and then she's there anyway, right?
Yeah, I could. I'm like right in like the top level of the castle, just chilling out there. Yeah. I would do that. But also, though, okay. Oh, you know what? I'm kicking myself for I made the perfect DLC episode. And granted, our last DLC episode was very good. The Halloween episode was very good.
Yeah.
Now I want to. We're gonna save this one for later. Storygoers, keep us on our toes if you can remember this. The next Halloween episode, Ryan, should be the perfect location for a spooky, like a spooky. I don't want to say haunted hayride. That's not what I want. Like a spooky, like maze kind of spooky location for a haunted house.
Haunted house.
That last level of Super Mario 64 in Bowser's World, and it's all like purple and black and blue. Like that'd be such a cool vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, Storygoers, thank you, of course, for listening. Look out for the episodes coming this month. And if we don't talk to you, for those who celebrate, have a great Thanksgiving. Please, please, please take care of yourselves during these crazy times. It's all well and good to want what you want best for the world, but also don't lose yourself in the process of the craziness. You can control what you can control and try not to focus on what you can't, because it just drives you crazy. Yeah. So, all right. Thanks, Ryan. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Yep. See you later. Bye.
Bye.